Welcome back to FunlishPodcast, everyone. It's day 4 of our 5-day English Conversation Challenge. And if you've been with us since day 1, you know we're all about making English practice lively, real, and just a little bit cheeky. I'm your host, Rachel, and I've got my favorite partner in crime here with me.
Hey, it's Max. I'm ready for day 4, Rachel. I've got my coffee, my notepad, and my best analogies locked and loaded. So what's our focus today?
Today is all about sharing personal experiences and stories to spark and sustain conversations. We're moving beyond the basics. No more, how's the weather, or do you like pizza? We're digging into the good stuff. How to make your English conversations memorable and meaningful.
Ooh, stories. I always say a good story is like the secret sauce in a burger. It takes something basic and makes it unforgettable.
Couldn't agree more. And research backs us up. According to Stanford University, stories are up to 22 times more memorable than facts alone. So if you want to stick in someone's mind, tell them a story.
That's wild. 22 times? So if I tell you about the time I tried to make pancakes and set off the fire alarm, you'll remember that longer than if I just say, I like pancakes.
Oh, I'm never forgetting that one, Max. But let's break it down for our listeners. Why do stories work so well in conversations, especially when you're practicing English?
For starters, stories give context. They help you use vocabulary in a real way, not just as a list of words. Plus, they show your personality. And honestly, people love a peek behind the curtain. What's your life like? What's your sense of humor? What makes you tick?
Exactly. And sharing the story doesn't mean you have to launch into your life saga. It can be as simple as, last weekend I tried a new recipe and it was a disaster. Suddenly, you've got a hook. The other person can jump in. What happened? What did you cook? Did you eat it anyway?
Or did you call the fire department? In my case, the answer is yes.
So let's give our listeners a structure. If you're at a B2 level, you want to keep your stories clear and focused. Here's a simple framework. Set the scene, describe the action, and share the outcome. For example, I went to a concert last Friday. The band was amazing, but halfway through, the power went out. Everyone started singing together in the dark. It was unforgettable.
That's a great template, and you can use it for almost anything. Travel stories, funny mistakes, even daily routines. The key is to make it relatable.
And here's a pro tip. End your story with a question. That invites the other person to share their own experience. Like, have you ever had something unexpected happen at an event?
Or what's the weirdest thing that's happened to you at a concert? Suddenly, you're not just talking, you're connecting.
Let's do a quick role play. Max, I'll start with a story and you jump in.
Ready when you are.
So, last month I tried baking sourdough bread for the first time. I followed a YouTube tutorial, but my dough ended up looking like a deflated soccer ball. I still baked it, but it was so dense I could have used it as a doorstop. Have you ever tried baking bread?
Oh, I have. And let me tell you, my first loaf was more like a brick than bread. I actually tried to slice it and my knife bounced off of it. I ended up making croutons out of it. What did you do with yours?
I gave it to my neighbor's dog. He sniffed it and walked away. Even the dog had standards.
See, now we're swapping stories, laughing, and learning new words like deflated, dense, croutons. This is how you build vocabulary in context.
And you're practicing real conversation skills, reacting, asking questions, showing empathy. It's not just about grammar, it's about connection.
Speaking of connection, let's talk about vulnerability. Sometimes sharing a story means admitting you messed up or felt nervous. That's not a weakness, it's a superpower.
Yes, vulnerability makes you relatable. If you only talk about your successes, people might tune out. But if you share a challenge or a funny fail, you invite others to open up too.
Like the time I tried to impress my crush by skateboarding. I ended up face first in a bush. She helped me up though, so I guess it worked out.
Classic. And now our listeners have learned crush, skateboarding, and face first in a bush. Real life vocabulary right there.
Let's give our listeners a challenge for today. Try sharing a short personal story in your next English conversation. It doesn't have to be dramatic, just something real. And remember to end with a question.
And if you're worried about making mistakes, don't be. Mistakes are conversation gold. They give you a chance to laugh, learn, and keep the chat going.
Plus, native speakers make mistakes all the time. I once said espresso instead of espresso for years. Nobody died.
Same here. I used to say supposedly instead of supposedly. My friends still tease me about it.
So if you're listening and thinking, I'm nervous to share my story in English, just remember, everyone's got a brick loaf or a skateboard fail in their past.
Let's talk about how to keep your stories concise. You don't want to monologue for 10 minutes and lose your audience. Aim for a minute or two, then pass the ball.
Right. Think of it like tennis, not bowling. You want the conversation to bounce back and forth, not just roll in one direction.
Love that analogy. And if you notice the other person's eyes glazing over, it's time to wrap up and ask them a question.
Or if they're laughing or leaning in, you can add a little more detail. Read the room. Well, read the Zoom if you're online.
Speaking of online, sharing stories works great in virtual conversations too. In fact, sometimes it's even easier because you can show photos or objects on camera.
Like, here's the bread I made. Warning, do not use as a pillow.
Or, this is the plant I tried to grow. It's now a stick with one leaf, but I'm proud of it.
Visuals can spark conversation too. If you're stuck, show something from your environment and tell a quick story about it.
Let's talk about cultural differences for a second. In some cultures, sharing personal stories right away might feel too forward. So pay attention to the other person's comfort level.
Good point. If they seem reserved, start with something light, like a funny travel mishap or a food fail. If they open up, you can go deeper.
And remember, you don't have to be a stand-up comedian. Just be yourself. Authenticity beats perfection every time.
Speaking of authenticity, let's talk about active listening. When someone shares a story with you, show you're engaged. Nod, smile, ask follow-up questions.
Yes, and use phrases like, no way, seriously? What happened next? These keep the energy up and show you're interested.
And if you're not sure what to say, repeat a key word from their story. For example, you said you got lost in Paris. How did you find your way back?
That's called the echo technique. It's simple, but it works wonders for keeping the conversation going.
Let's do a quick practice for our listeners. Rachel, tell me a short story and I'll echo a key word.
Okay, last year I went hiking in Colorado and got caught in a sudden snowstorm. I ended up sheltering under a pine tree for an hour.
Snowstorm? Wow, were you scared?
I was. My phone had no signal, so I just sang songs to keep calm. Have you ever been caught in bad weather?
Once I got stuck in a thunderstorm while hiking. I hid under a bridge and counted the seconds between lightning and thunder. It was like being in a science experiment.
See, now we're swapping stories, laughing and learning new words like snowstorm, scared, science experiment. This is what English practice should feel like.
And if you're practicing solo, try recording yourself telling a story. Play it back, notice your pronunciation, and see where you can improve.
Or write your story down first, then tell it out loud. You'll notice which words flow and which ones trip you up.
And if you have a language partner, swap stories and give each other feedback. Ask, what did you like about my story? Was anything unclear?
Feedback is gold. Sometimes your partner will catch things you didn't notice, like using the wrong tense or mixing up words.
And don't be afraid to ask for help. How do you say is a phrase you should use often?
Before we wrap up, let's give our listeners a mini challenge. Today, Share a personal story in English, face-to-face, online, or even in a voice message. Keep it short, end with a question, and see what happens.
And if you want to take it up a notch, try telling your story to 3 different people. Notice how each conversation is a little different. That's how you grow.
And if you're feeling brave, share your story in the comments on our Funlish Podcast YouTube channel. We'd love to hear from you.
We might even read a few on the next episode, so bring your best bread fails and travel mishaps.
Remember, every conversation is a chance to learn, laugh, and connect. Stories are your secret weapon. Use them well.
And don't forget, tomorrow is day 5, the grand finale of our challenge. You won't want to miss it.
Thanks for joining us on Funlish Podcast. Keep practicing, keep sharing, and keep those stories coming.